There are almost 1 lakh COVID positive cases in the city of Bengaluru. And the city has over 16,000 containment zones. That's an enormous number by any reckoning. One of those zones, that house, that bright green house behind me, which has a COVID positive patient and has been demarcated as such. Joining us, the Medical Education Minister of Karnataka, Dr K Sudhakar. Dr Sudhakar, thank you very much for joining us now. 16,000 containment zones. That's such a massive number. How is the administration monitoring all of that? Has the definition of a containment zone changed?
Yeah, Mayaji, firstly I would like to tell you that Bangalore has about 80,000 active, totally Karnataka has 80,000 active cases, out of which in Bangalore alone, the BBMP has made about 13,000 containment zones. I certainly agree it is a mammoth number which is beyond practical capabilities to handle such big numbers. The definition of containment zones has been really the BBMP. There is some discrepancies in BBMP because they had treated even single house as a containment zone. But now the government has decided, and we have given a fresh guidelines yesterday, saying that wherever in a pockets where there are more number of cases, that should be elaborated. It should be defined so that there is enough in Government of India what they have given us. We have to follow the similar guidelines. So we have guided and we have given a direction to the BBMP that the numbers in whatever containment zones are there at the moment, it should be decreased, and it should be practically feasible for anybody to have a surveillance done and keep the containment zones strictly implemented, which should be easy for any of our task force committee to go do surveys, everything. So
it's such a huge challenge, such a big task. How is the administration actually monitoring the current 16,000 zones? How is it doing
that's why I said initially there are some discrepancies from the BBMP by their active note. I think the lower level officers, they started increasing the number of containment zones. Even if there is one case in a house, that house was treated as a containment zone, which is really against the definition of the containment zone itself.
There were earlier hard barricades put up, metal barricades outside the homes of people who were COVID positive. That has been changed, right? That will not happen again, will it?
Absolutely, it should not happen. It should be a very temporary thing. It is a notional, it should have been a notional one, just to showcase that house or that area is barricaded, depicting that this zone is a containment zone. It's not a Berlin Wall.
Not the Berlin Wall. And finally, a question that has been in the mind of many Bengalurians. What is the situation for hospital beds now in the city? Do we have enough hospital beds for COVID patients and even for patients with other ailments?
No, it's a pleasant surprise to us as a government. From the past 10 days to 12 days, we are having surplus beds in the hospitals, surplus beds in the COVID care centers. Mostly 70 to 75% of the newly infected people who are asymptomatic, they are getting isolated, they are being isolated, and they are being monitored through telemedicine, staying in their own homes. So that has really taken off the burden from the hospitals and the COVID care centers.
Dr K Sudhakar, Medical Education Minister of Karnataka, thank you for joining us on NDTV with those answers about containment zones in the state.